It's funny because now people see me and they're very inspired by the fact that I've done a couple of things back home in Nigeria before I came into the UK. But I remember like yesterday, it was 2017. It was 5th July, 2 weeks to my wedding. I'd been a radio broadcaster in Nigeria. I'd been on radio for 6 years. I was quite famous in my city. But I remember clearly that on that day, and being on radio meant I was, talking, I was going to events, I was, a keynote speaker, I held several seminars. So I was invited to speak somewhere. And it was about 40 minutes from the city I lived at that time. So I drove down there to speak. And I was returning back. And it was a windy evening. I looked at my rearview mirror. Nobody was coming behind me. That's the last memory I had. And nobody was in front of me. But then I woke up in a pool of blood. If you look at me like this, you would never really realize that I'm a bit deformed. You see, I don't have my complete ear. I woke up in a pool of blood on the 5th of July 2017 in the hospital called Oshiobugie General Hospital. I just sat down on that bed, and the only thing I heard was, "Go and do my work." The nurse was so happy I woke up. She said, "The doctor had said you won't make it because you've lost so much blood from your ear that it was impossible for you to make it." So the nurse said the only reason she even sat by my bedside was because she saw my ID card. She said, "I used to listen to your programs. You used to talk about young people and how they can get scholarships and all these things. I know you." But the beautiful thing about it is that the person that brought you was a road safety officer. He brought me to that hospital. He said, "When you wake up, you should call this number." I was in a trance, and she was telling me that I've been in a 9-hour coma. And I've been unconscious for 9 hours. She said somebody asked her to deliver a message to me, and I took the number. I called that number, and the man said these 5 words that I also heard when I stood up for the first time. The lady did not hear the words I heard, but I called the number and I said, "Thank you so much. They said you were the road safety officer that pulled me out." He said, "No, I'm not the road safety officer. I gave you to the road safety officer." The man said, "Go and do God's work." That's the same thing the man said to me. And I had to ask, "Can I speak to the road safety officer?" And the lady said yes. They called the road safety officer. He came to the hospital. And when he came, he said, "A man was driving behind you. That man saw the whole thing. Because where you got this accident, your car, had skid off the road so far that no human would have been able to see you at least till the next day when they came, because it was so deep inside. But there was a man driving behind you. That man went inside that wreck. And if you go on Google and see the car that I was in, you would know that no human being would survive that accident." He said the man went there, brought you out, and sat with you by the roadside waiting for the road safety officials and handed you over to the road safety. And the man was the one that had said you should call him. And I called the man, and he said those 5 words, "Go and do God's work." I've been calling that number at least till I changed my phone 2 years after that date, and nobody will pick the call. There's a dream that sometimes you can ignore. There's a dream that sometimes you can pretend you don't know. But if it's the dream that would not let you sleep, if it's the dream that is in your heart, I don't care what job you do, I don't care who you are, I don't care who you marry, God will find ways to disrupt your agenda till you pay attention to his dream. I remember when the nurse said you were in a 9-hour coma, I remember walking down a white path. I remember walking down a light. I remember just walking like this, and children, loads of children. They were dirty children, they were tattered children. None of them were having any clean robe on them. And they said to me, "Come back and teach us." But this was not the first time I was having such a dream, but this time it was too clear. It was a trance. You see, I used to dream and see myself teaching people. I used to dream and see myself mentoring people. And I said, maybe I'm answering the dream by all these young people I mentor at the time in Nigeria. But you see, it was children. I knew that I was supposed to have a school for children that are orphaned and underprivileged and didn't have no money to go to school. But you see, I was scared. I was scared because you, God, gave me a dream of 15,000 pounds. And all I had in my pocket was 5 pounds. How do you expect me to trust you to give me? And listen, I didn't come from a rich family. I didn't come from a family where I could go to my father or my mother. I mean, I was in Nigeria. Understand, there was no loan or credit cards and all these things we have here right now. If you trust God, you have to trust him completely. You don't have any other option of trusting on a bank or trusting credit cards and all these things. You have to totally just trust God. So I was on this part and the children were begging me, come back and teach us. I turned back and I said, I'm going to teach you guys, sit down. When I told them to sit down, I was going to teach them. That's when I woke up in a pool of blood. You see, sometimes God will try as much as possible to make you do something for him till he actually has to put you in something very, very bad. And you're gonna then listen. You might not listen now, but if there's a dream in your heart that will not let you sleep, maybe when you are bedridden, you're going to then hear him. Maybe when you are out of the job, you're going to then hear him. Maybe when you no longer have the husband, you're going to then hear him. Maybe when you no longer have the children. All these things that distract you right now, maybe when you no longer have them, you're going to then hear him, because I sat down and I woke up and I was telling those children in that trance, I am going to teach you now. And as I woke up, that's when the lady handed me that note. You see, I got married in 2017, July 22nd, and my wife was saying to me, I'm happy now because your radio career is taking off. You're now becoming so popular. I said to her, I'm going to resign. I don't want to do radio no more. You see, what is fame without influence? What is fame without purpose? What is fame when there's really nothing else you live for than the identity you tie to the job and all these other things we talk about? I resigned from a very good radio career and I said to my boss, I'm done. And I went to start a school. You see, the school was a 15,000 pounds dream, but I had only 5 pounds. And I just went to the community and I said, listen, my name is Zion. I want to start a school for children that have no parents. Children that are orphaned. And the community people said to me, why do you have this dream? I said, because I don't want to die. And then one woman came and said, we have a land somewhere at the back that I think you can use. I said, I don't have no money. She said, you don't need money to use it. You just want to use it, go use it. You see, that's when I realized that sometimes you don't need money to do something. You just need to do something. People are going to come when you respond to the call. That's how we built the first school in 2017. And then we moved from that. People started coming to me. I started posting what I was doing. And then in 2021, after COVID, we built the second school. And the second school sincerely cost us 15,000 pounds. And one of the beauty of that donation is the fact that a woman that sells fish, she said, I hear you're building a school for your second school for children that are orphaned. I said, yes. She said, I don't have so much to give you, but I just sold fish for a couple of pence. I'd contributed to the school. There's something called a GoFundMe when people have dreams, but there's also something called a God fund me. God can fund you. God funds dreams. I don't care what you go through. If God places a dream in your heart that will not let you sleep, understand that if he has said the dream, he will fund it. So we built the second school. And as I speak to you right now, from 2017 till now, we've built 2 schools for children that are orphaned and underprivileged. We've graduated 169 orphans. We currently back home in Nigeria educate 365 children and feed them daily. So when people see me and say to me, you're now in the UK, it's 2 years plus you're in the UK. We heard you also have resigned from the college you were teaching. I said, God said I should resign again. You see, when people say you can't survive in the UK if you resign, I resigned in April of this year at my job as a lecturer. I used to be a lecturer at the college, did that for 1 year, 5 months. And then one day God said to me in February, he said, you want to influence the community? I said, yes. You want them to know you? I said, yes. You want me to bring you out and influence young people? I said, yes, Jesus. He said, okay, go and resign your job. I said, okay, my wife is not going to like this again, Jesus, because And since April till now, has it been turbulent? Yes. Has it been shaky? Yes. But that's the same time God placed in my heart, I want you to do a TEDx for me. And when people say, oh, you know, you did the first ever TEDx for young people in the city, I just can't say to them publicly because, you know, I have to respect whatever they believe. I just can't say to them that, you know, Jesus put it in my heart to do it. But when I wrote that script and when myself and Ife did all the things we did, I was driving down here and the Holy Spirit said, scratch the script. And I said, Holy Spirit, I'm going to scratch the script if you're going to tell me what to say, I'm going to speak from how you say it. Everything I'm speaking here today, I swear to you, if you ask Ife, she would say, this was not the script. You've allowed a job distract you from the dream that has not let you sleep. You've allowed marriage, you've allowed children, you've allowed so many distractions come into your life. I'm not saying quit your job like me. I'm saying 9 to 5 is good for the job. What about 5 to 9? You see, do the job 9 to 5 and do the dream 5 to 9. There's a dream that won't let you sleep. You know the dream. You know you're supposed to start something bigger than yourself. You know what you've been told to do. You know it. And volunteer all you like for all the people you want to volunteer for, but there's something you have been called to do. And volunteering will not solve the problem when you were called to solve the problem. The dream that would not let you sleep. What if that dream is so that other people can awake and stand up and say, Jesus is Lord? Thank you.